What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni and Louis, and obviously the big prevailing news of the day outside of football is that the Queen of England has died, Queen Elizabeth, 70 years on the throne. So that is my whole lifetime, including my parents put together, man. So she's been around for a minute. So the country, unfortunately, is in mourning in the loss of Queen Elizabeth. So prayers and thoughts, obviously, to the family, because regardless of what you think of, the royal family, she was a grandmother, she was a mother, she had people that did love her, and just based on that principle, it's only right that we show a bit of respect to those that have lost somebody that close to them. So based on that, rest in peace. You get me? But yeah, Louis, obviously you've heard the news about the Queen, but there's been a lot of news that's been going on this week, and not all of it being good news. Thomas Tuchel obviously got sacked yesterday, not even 24, well, just over 24 hours ago, and we're already talking about his replacement signing a 5-year contract. So there's quite a few questions that are just hovering around this whole situation. But first, let's just rewind back to those 24 to 30 hours, I'd say. How did you feel when you heard the news Thomas Tuchel was officially sacked from Chelsea Football Club? Were you actually surprised when you heard it?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Obviously, before we carry on, just to address the settings, my computer decided to pack up, so I'm on my laptop currently. So it's not going to look as clean as it could do. But yeah. I mean, in terms of the news, when Thomas Tuchel got sacked, I think the shock was there because it was 6 days after the transfer window closed, which proves that he kind of it either was a split-second decision, which makes you nervous, considering the basis that we've operated on as a club for a while, and obviously now these are new owners. You think, shit, like this is split-second. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. Or they've just been waiting for the opportunity to say, "See you later, Thomas. We don't want you here," which is what I think is a more likely case. He was the stalwart or last stalwart of like the Roman Empire, shall we say? He was the person who was the face, the figurehead, and they just wanted to start fresh. They just needed to have the excuse to do it so they could face less politics.
I mean, to say the least, the speed in which this was done definitely lets us know that this has been in the making for weeks. They've been in talks for weeks. Thomas Tuchel must have known this for a while now. I highly doubt it was just a phone call that was made. He must have known that this was happening, because as soon as the announcement was made that Tommy T was, parting ways with Chelsea, you saw not even an hour later Graham Potter's name just being thrown in there. Literally, we're at a stage now where he's Chelsea manager.
Yeah, it's look, it's something which I think makes you wonder how the process happened. I mean, there was talks of obviously they had the contract extension talks, then those fell apart. Then Thomas Tuchel, said he was thinking about walking away completely. Then there's apparently this break. There's certain things, right? Let's say it how it is. You don't believe everything that you read. I don't believe Thomas Tuchel found out about Callum Hudson-Odoi by the TV. There's no way that happened, because he's definitely he was the man who was basically director of football this entire window. So that's bollocks. You can say that straight away. How this became about is a completely different situation. And again, the way I look at it is what it is. So as sad as I am about Thomas Tuchel, I don't know if you saw my reel that I posted on socials, or you saw my video yesterday. Yeah. I say yesterday. I posted it yesterday. Then YouTube algorithm decided to just post it this morning, which is fun. So not many people might have seen it. So if you do want to head back and watch that, and I've done a video on Graham Potter as well, check those out. Irrespective, the whole situation, it's been dealt with how it's been dealt with. Whether we agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. I know this sounds incredibly savage, but I think after Frank, kind of, I've had two managers where I've just been in love with them, and that was Mourinho and that was Frank. Conte, by the end, you knew it was going sour, but those two, it was like, you'd follow them to the bitter end. That's how I felt about them anyway. In Tuchel's case, I'm kind of there to be like,
yeah. Do you know what's funny, Louis? I said something quite similar because look, the two managers that I had that kind of attachment to was obviously Jose Mourinho, and then the other one being Carlo Ancelotti. Those were the two for me that I absolutely loved them. But after Ancelotti, I kind of learned the lesson. It was like, well, if he's just been sacked for this, then there is absolutely no room for loyalty for managers at Chelsea Football Club. And this is a thing where it's a short-term basis hire. So based on that, I kind of came to terms accepting that there's no point in having any kind of emotional attachment to any manager, because in about 18 months' time, if you're lucky, 24 months' time, that manager's going to be gone.
So I think we need to, the one thing we keep saying this, right? This is a new ownership. We don't know what they're like. So we can't sit there and say, this is what Chelsea Football Club's like, because we don't know if they are going to be like that. You know, so this whole conversation, I think, if Graham Potter goes pretty sharpish, then yeah, we'll be in a tough situation. But before anybody starts jumping on this, and it's an exciting appointment. It is. It's different. It's not what we're used to. But we don't have a director of football. We don't have the infrastructure around Graham Potter. We can't judge him until he gets that. Because the reason Brighton works so well is because they have that infrastructure. We need to get that in place. Todd Bowley coming in and doing all these sales and all this sort of stuff and how he's operating. Look, people might say I'm insane, but I'm going to say it. I've been proven right on so many occasions. My gut is feeling a bit weird about this fella. It's feeling a bit weird because the way that he's operating is very knee-jerk. I think the way that he's been doing these deals and dealing with the finances make me worry quite a lot. I think if this was something which was in place, right, for a while, why the fuck did we sell Billy Gilmore? Why the hell did we do some of the deals that we did? And why we put ourselves in this position? So we need to take everything with a pinch of salt. I just want to see how he does. I'm not jumping on it. I think that I just want to see what he brings. We are not going to see Potterball or, Quidditch for quite a significant period.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think we'll see it this season. I'd say next year, when he has a pre-season under his belt, I think you might see a different player, different coach and a different sort of style of play. But I don't think we're going to get as much out of this off the bat straight away as people are saying they're going to see. We won't. We need to be real with this. This is going to take a lot of time. And if this is how they're moving forward, they need to back him. If they're selling this long-term project, back him.
Well, what I'll say on the Tuchel situation is this. I'll kind of close on this. Is I'm not surprised that he'd been sacked. I was just surprised in how quickly that it happened. Like 6 games into the season, and into the Premier League season anyway, he played 7 games, including the Champions League. That's really no time to give a manager where you've just, quote unquote, if sources are to be believed, given them so much money, nearly £300 million, to implement what's meant to be his philosophy, and you've sacked him 7 games after the window's closed, or 7 games played into the season. It doesn't make any kind of sense. So that kind of, for me, throws that whole perspective into question as to whether Todd Bowley was really backing what Thomas Tuchel wanted.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It just makes me completely skeptical about that whole situation now.
It's purely political. And it scares me when someone's willing to throw 300 million at someone to be purely political.
Yeah, when you're talking them figures, and they're not even batting an eyelid as well. It's crazy, but yeah, and I'm just gonna leave the Thomas Tuchel thing alone for now because it's still a situation it's still a bit crazy to me. To be fair, I had my criticisms, and I still, to this day, regardless of the outcome, I still think I was right by some of the things that I said. But the overruling thing that I was saying is that Tuchel, just get it right, because these owners will sack you. They've got no loyalty to this manager whatsoever. They didn't hire him, and they've also put another massive pressure on him in the song of £300 million. That's a lot of pressure. They're not really trying to let things go wrong after spending that kind of money. They're trying to say, nope, sorry, if you are not at least on board, you've got to go. And that's what they did. But Graham Potter, just over 24 hours later, is now the new Chelsea manager. And quite rightly, like you said, bruv, this is going to be a long-term project because this man is a project manager. He's not going to come in and he's not going to implement his football straight away. Now, what I will say is that there are parallels in terms of Thomas Tuchel's coaching style and Graham Potter's, in terms of they're both possession-based managers, and they both dominantly like to use a back five. So, or a back three in specific, with Potter, a 3-5-2. So that's a transition that might be a little easier for the players to adapt to in terms of just that sense. Now, in terms of the player roles, that's a completely different story. That's a different section of things. But out of the appointments that were available, because that was another thing, is my concern was sacking Tuchel at that time, who was going to be available. But out of the pool, Mauricio Pochettino, Zinedine Zidane, and and Graham Potter.
And Julian Nagelsmann. Julian Nagelsmann was on the list as well.
Nagelsmann was never on the list. Is it?
Nagelsmann was on the list.
Swear down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So out of those four, are you happy with Graham Potter being picked?
Yeah, because we weren't going to get Nagelsmann. Pochettino's allergic to trophies. Don't give a shit what people say, right? He's won Ligue 1, he's done this, he's done that. His first season, right, he finished second, and he couldn't manage to win a league with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a special level of coaching ignorance. Tottenham, he was a nearly manager. Southampton, he built a solid side. Is what it is. Zinedine Zidane, I mean, fantastic coach. Won 3 Champions Leagues. Tends to happen when you have Prime Ronaldo, because when he didn't have Prime Ronaldo, it didn't go as well. Yeah, so on that list, Graham Potter for me, I like the football he plays. I want to see what he can do, and for me, it's just exciting because it's different. It's a different way of doing things. If this board want to play marketable, sexy football and do well, more importantly, go on to win trophies, which I think is something which he's going to worry a few people, because this appointment is going to go one of two ways. It's going to be a stroke of genius. We're going to build a dynasty. Graham Potter is going to be spoken about in the same breath as Alex Ferguson, Mourinho, Guardiola as his unbelievable manager, or it's going to be Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool. There is literally no in between. So I'm excited for what he's going to do. I think the football is going to be entertaining, which I think a lot of us have missed. If you think under Tuchel, look, the football's not going to be very fondly remembered, but that doesn't matter if you win in Champions Leagues. I'm not going to sit here and say I'd rather play nice football than win trophies, because I'm not a loser. So if we go on and we're winning trophies and doing well, then great. We're playing nice football, doing it, fantastic. But he needs a couple of years. After 2 years, because it's not a 5-year deal, it's 2 years with an option to extend for 3. That's what it is.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
That's what it is, I think. So long-term plan, not so sure. So I'm just taking rough with the smooth, going with the flow. Let's see what happens. I'm excited, but I'm cautious.
Yeah, same here. Chelsea OG, thank you very much for the super chat. Harry Potter League on, I better work his magic ASAP. Well,
Lee Gunner.
Well, it is spitting image though, innit? Them two look the same, fam. They're twins.
Oh my
Lee
God.
Gunner and Graham Potter, man. It's mad, the similarities between them. But I don't see that happening, bruv. It's gonna take some time. It's like I said, it's gonna be a project. We're gonna have to back this manager and be patient with him. 100%. There's so many things for him that are gonna be new to him. Stepping up to Chelsea, this is the biggest pressure that he's ever gonna have in his career. You know, he's managed previously Ostersund, Swansea City, and Brighton. You know,
And
done
Hull City
decent.
University.
Say that again.
Hull City University.
Hull City University, bro.
I believe it was Hull City University. This is what I like. I like this underdog story.
Yeah.
I really like it. You mean you're not going to play sexy football and have Brian Potter as your manager? Let's have it right. Let's be honest. Here you go. So Potter graduated at Open University. He worked as football development manager at the University of Hull, technical director at Ghana women's team, became the assistant coach of England University squad for joining Leeds Metropolitan University in December role. With Leeds, he completed his Masters in Leadership and Emotional Intelligence. Interesting. That's an actual degree. Okay. And then he moved to Ostersund, and he was at Ostersund for 8 years. So he actually
beat Arsenal as well in the Europa League 2-1. I think Wenger was still manager as well. It was Wenger that was manager.
Yeah. Yeah, Ostersund's fought 2-1 in April, well, in 2017. Interesting. Well, interesting. He's proven that he can build a club on three occasions.
There's that, but you see why. What makes me kind of believe that this is with more of a view of a long-term build is the fact that Todd Bowley, if you read Matt Law's article, it did say that the reason being why Thomas Tuchel was let go was purely, well, not purely, but a huge factor of it was the fact that he wasn't willing to work as closely with the board as they would have wanted to. So what that meant was in terms of Tuchel, like expressing his ideas to the board and them kind of trying to pick his brain in that. And he's just basically saying, no, fuck off, leave me alone. I just want to work with the squad and do what I'm best at. And they didn't like that kind of dynamic between them.
Do you know what that is? Should we just read between the lines of that? Thomas Tuchel didn't like being told what to do by someone who doesn't have a fucking Scooby about football.
Well, and this is where I side with Thomas Tuchel all day long. It's just like, well, he shouldn't really be in a position where he has to explain himself to anybody, especially somebody like Todd Bowley or the Clear Lake Consortium, bruv. Do you know what I mean? As far as they're concerned, he's the man with the football brains. Whatever decision he makes should go. And he might be feeling a little undermined by that. And if that is the case, bruv, you can see it being more of a mutual termination rather than them turning around and saying, nah, fuck off. Because if the writing's on the wall where Tuchel's seeing this is what it's going to have to be for the remainder of my career here at Chelsea, he might have said as well, like, I'm just not trying to do this. I'm not trying to work like this.
Listen, I get when an owner wants to have an understanding of what's going on. What I don't like is when an owner, from what I'm understanding, when I read about this, right? I get it if you own a football club, right? I speak from experience. I own a football club. So with that situation, you kind of like to understand what your gaffer's doing and how everything's going, right? Yeah. What you don't do is what Todd Bowley did and swing your cock and go, I'm making this signing. I'm going to make this signing. I want to make this signing. Do you think it's a good idea? My director of football, my coach, my manager, because that's what Tuchel was in this case. He was a manager, not a head coach, right? Yeah. And when they're turning around and going, no, I think it's a bad idea. This is why. And then he goes, okay, but I still think we should do it. No, this is a bad idea. I just told you the reasons. Okay, but I think we should do it. No, this is a bad idea. You're now pissing me off. That was the beginning and end. If you're Tuchel and you're left to do everything because Todd Bowley's not set up the structure. Yeah. Like, he hasn't. If you think about when Roman came in, he stole Peter Kenyon from Manchester United straight away. Yeah, we had that structure. We had the beginning of that structure. Okay? We didn't have that. So if that's the case, we then need you leaving Thomas Tuchel doing everything. He openly said he's gone, look, I've been doing everything. I can actually just focus on the football again. It's great. We can focus on building our football.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm so cautious with Potter. It's a long-term project. We are going to be finishing 5th this year. We are going to. So it is what it is in that situation, all right? But Todd Bowley needs to put that infrastructure in place, and he needs to help him, because if he doesn't, we're going to have the same conversation in 2 years' time, and the club is going to slowly deteriorate, and we're going to end up like Arsenal did for the past 5-6 years. That is exactly what's going to happen. Todd Bowley needs to pull, and I know I'm going after him, and it might sound unfair. Thomas Tuchel's just as much to blame. Should have answered the phone calls. Should have dealt with it like an adult rather than just ignoring it. Again, not believing everything I say, but if that's what's happened, that's what's happened. Right? Todd Bowley needs to build this infrastructure. If he doesn't build this infrastructure, he's wasting his time and he's wasting ours. I understand, right? You're the new boy on the block. You want to make a big signing. You want to make a splash, right? He needs to fucking not do that. He needs to not do that. Just splashing the most money in Europe is, it's a big dick move, but it's also a move which can cost the club.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to see what's going on. But we'll figure it out.
You see where I think is going to be interesting as well, bruv, is the fact that he's going to be bringing in this guy with him. Obviously, as a manager, you do like to bring one or two of your staff members. This guy's name is, hold on, I have got it somewhere here. Kyle McCauley. And Kyle McCauley is his head of recruitment that has been with him since Osterson's. So so for the people that don't know, that's Osterson, Swansea City, and Brighton that he's been with him. And he apparently is one of the leading brains that has been, contributing to the recruitment for Brighton, which we've all been saying that he's been doing a great job at doing, which he has been, to be fair. Now, obviously, he's come to the club with Graham Potter. But then if you're hiring a director of football who's also got his own vision, can you not see a potential of a clash in between the two? And if so, what's going to happen there? Because Graham Potter's been with him since basically the beginning of his professional career.
So this fella's gone the whole way through with Potter as a recruitment consultant.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did that work at Brighton? That's what I want to know in this case now.
That's the parallels that I'm trying to make here between there and Chelsea Football Club, because my assumption is that he was probably just that, the head of recruitment, the one who took care of, who suggested the players to the manager and said, listen, I think XYZ, these are good targets to go for. But I don't know. Like, I don't know the infrastructure over there at Brighton, to be fair. But that's where I can see the potential clash happening.
If they don't have a director of football and this is the guy, this might just be it. Okay, so Dan Ashworth was the technical director at Brighton. How long was he there? In 2018, it was announced that Ashworth had resigned from his role at the FA and take up the position of technical director at Brighton in spring 2019. In February 2022, it was confirmed that Ashworth agreed to Newcastle.
2019 is when Graham Potter went to Brighton.
So there you go. So this fella was reporting to a sporting director. So we're still going to bring one in then.
Okay, cool.
So if that's the case and the sporting director comes in, look, they're saying they're waiting for Michael Edwards. Apparently he wants the job, but he just wants to take a break. So we're waiting for him.
To be honest with you, I don't think we've got the luxury of time to be waiting. I think we need to sort something out like sharpish.
Yeah, but who?
Yeah.
Is because there was talk about Paul Mitchell fella. Where is he now?
He's at Monaco.
How long's he been there?
I'm not sure. Maybe 2 seasons now. Not that long, from what I can remember.
You can tell I'm a barber because when I put in Paul Mitchell, he used to come up with the sporting director straight away. It's now coming up with the guy that's a hairdresser. Paul Mitchell, former, okay, don't care, he's a professional footballer. So how long has he been here? June 2020. He's literally been there 2 years.
So yeah, exactly. So 2 seasons. So, but apparently he's interested in taking the job if it's going to be offered to him. But clearly these guys are hell-bent on Michael Edwards. But look, it remains to be seen how that situation is going to play itself out, man. But I'm pretty sure there should have been some kind of understanding in the meeting that apparently took place between Graham Potter and Todd Bowley and the consortium yesterday. So I'm sure they'll work those things out between them. But do you feel that this step up is going to be a bit too much for Graham Potter, or do you think that he's going to handle it accordingly? Because I do agree, before you answer that, because I do agree there are things that need to be taken into consideration. Obviously, us as fans need to give him patience, 100%. And second of all, more importantly than the fans, is that the board have to realize that this is a long-term project and they also have to be patient. It's all well and good saying it and saying you want long-term this and that, but when we're really if we're potentially going to be going through the mud, how long do you have to sustain that? Like, how much do you have in you to sustain and allow it to just happen? And that's also a question for the fans. But do you think that Potter can come good in this situation?
Yeah, he can. But until he has the structure around him, I don't know. I'm very, very bullish about this. I'm excited. I think Graham Potter's a fantastic appointment. I think the football's going to be really, really good. And I'm excited to see that. But until he has that structure around him, which Tuchel didn't have, he can't do it. We're not going to see the full power of this guy. Because when he can focus on the football rather than everything else, you might see the best out of him. Which is why with Thomas Tuchel it worked. You know, he built a relationship with the players because he was allowed to focus on the football. As soon as he wasn't allowed to focus on the football and have to deal with other stuff, it started falling apart. So it's this season is going to be long, and we're going to have to be prepared for it to be that long. But you know, it's just a case of seeing what happens over the next 18 months, and it's going to be 18 months.
And we also got to understand, like, this guy is coming into the same similar problems that Thomas Tuchel had before he left the club. In fact, exactly the same. Literally right off the back of a manager who's filled with plenty of problems, and it's ultimately cost him his job. Do you know what I mean? So there's also that factor. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to come in, and because his first job is going to be to steady the ship, because clearly there's a lot of disagreements, and you know, the morale is down in between that team on the training ground. It's not looking good. So that's going to take some work. And then obviously instilling his way of football, you know, there's players that are going to have to be dropped. There's going to be harsh conversations that are going to have to be had. And it's also going to be interesting to see whether he's got the balls to sit down and tell certain players, well, listen, like, you're not really going to be in my plans. This player is going to more be in my plans, or so on and so forth. These are conversations that he's going to have, quite similar to what Ten Hag did, I think, because for Ten Hag to go into that United team and to say, Maguire, you're not playing, Ronaldo, you're not playing either, it did take some balls to do that, because those are two leaders of that squad.
But I also feel with that, as look, he's got his masters in emotional intelligence. That's not me taking the piss, by the way, because I think, as I said about Thomas Tuchel in my video, look, having emotional intelligence and dealing with situations is one of the most undervalued life skills on the planet. If you do not deal with a situation with emotional intelligence, as some people didn't in my previous career steps, you're going to be dealing with issues, myself included. You know, there's times where I've not dealt with things in the best way emotionally, and you have to value that. So That's going to be very important. Having said that, the reason I think Erik ten Hag felt so confident doing that was because he's already been at a big club. No matter what you say about Ajax,
that's true. Yeah,
as a brand, it's one of the biggest and the best in the world.
That's 100% true.
He can do that. So if he goes into Man United, says, "Yeah, it's step up, Man United," but I've been at fucking Ajax. I know what I've done. You know, Graham Potter's never done anything like this. This is a big step in his career. And people might laugh, right? And then when they go, "Oh, you signed Graham Potter. You've just been playing nice football at Brighton. Why are you doing something like that? It's just Brighton." Same people were saying they want Graham Potter to replace Southgate and play better football with England. You know, this is, you know, it's a situation which people have got to deal with. And look, like I said, this Graham Potter thing, if he's getting the results and he's improving the football, everyone's a winner. But end of the season, we'll have the same conversation. Let's see where we're at. If Gus Hiddink's coming in on his scooter, then we'll be in fucking trouble. That's all I know. That's all I do know.
I said Gus Hiddink, you know, flipping hell. Yeah, that man just used to come in and just steady the ship. But yo, this, I'm sorry, but this just hasn't sunk in for me, man. It's just all happened so quickly. It's literally everything's just gone from one day to another.
It's moved quick, man. It's been quick. You know, we it's a lot to swallow in a short period of time. And today I've been bouncing around the walls and figuring stuff out. I've literally just done a collaboration with the guys at Fulhamish. We did that this morning. I then did a couple of reels. I've done a couple edits. I've done all this stuff. Obviously, the other news in the world that's happened today. It's like it's been a long day and a long 48 hours. So, you know, it is what it is. Graham Potter's the new Chelsea manager. He's going to do a good job, I feel. But he needs to have the infrastructure to help him. I just hope he's not going to be a yes man, because I'm slightly worried based on what Todd Bowley wants. Is he wants a yes man, and so I'm just going to say yes. We need to be more intertwined and intrinsically linked. If I'm the guy who's doing the football and you brought me in to do the football, don't step on my fucking toes. You know.
But that's what. But my thing is that's why I want the director of football sorted out quickly, because that's also going to be their man. That's going to kind of be like their representative from the footballing knowledge side, whoever they pick as that DOF. So if they put their trust in that DOF, then it could work in their favor in terms of, okay, cool, they've picked out their man. They trust his decisions. They're not really going to prod around and try and interfere as much. That's why I'm looking forward for the DOF to come in 100%, because this Todd Bowley interference, like what I read yesterday, was shocking, bruv. It was completely shocking. Like the fact that he was stepping in and trying to like bring in his own ideas, and it's like, well, hold on a minute, you've not even been in this environment. Like, what's going on here? So, look, it is what it is, man. We do have to move on. But I do want to do a little bit about Thomas Tuchel, final 10 minutes before I do end the stream. And listen, Thomas Tuchel, man, can't take the legacy away from the man.
No.
Absolutely not. Came in to do what he did in the short time that he did it in the team that was, you know, Frank Lampard did well to finish top 4 with them. But to go on and then just get European glory with that team, win the Champions League, that oh man, unbelievable. So there's a lot of love there for Thomas Tuchel. And then obviously
he's up there on the table with our greatest managers.
He has to be.
He
has to be.
It's like, I don't think Di Matteo graces that table because he was, you know, it was a short-term thing. You know, I think that's unfortunately the case. I think he won us our first Champions League. He might be there on not completely on merit, but because of what he's done. But in terms of managers that changed the face of Chelsea Football Club, you're looking at Ruud Gullit, you're looking at Glenn Hoddle, you're looking at, you know, Mourinho, you're looking at Thomas Tuchel, who's won us that second Champions League.
Yeah,
really cemented our place.
First Club World Cup as well. First Club
World Cup. He cements his place. was it 60% win rate or something as well? Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable record. He is an elite manager, man. It's just sad how things obviously turned out at Chelsea Football Club. The amount of finals that this guy got to as well, man, was just an absolute specialist. Do you know what I mean? Absolute
Thomas, do you want an interesting statistic, right? Thomas Tuchel, in the past, since 2019, has failed to get to one final.
That's a crazy record.
Do you know? And that the only reason he didn't get to that final was that Real Madrid game. He's also got two out of the last 3 Champions League finals.
That's an unbelievable record.
Obviously, the goals, I've seen the comment, obviously the goals conceded stat isn't the best. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not terrible either.
Yeah, we gotta be we gotta be grateful for what this man has done for the club, man. He's, regardless of how people feel about him, he's forever gonna be there in our history, man. Do you know what I mean? And I personally didn't want things to end on this note. I really didn't, regardless of what some people think. Some are saying you got what you wanted, when clearly they have hearing problems, or they don't watch videos all the way until the end where they can hear me say, it's not a Tuchel out thing, it's a Tuchel, please get it right before the board sack you thing. That's what it was really coming down to. So, look, and at the same time, it was undeniable that from a footballing standpoint, it just wasn't working. Looked like the players had down tools for the manager. The football that we was playing wasn't good enough. It wasn't exciting to watch. There was nothing that you would really look forward to in watching Chelsea at some stage, aside from you're just a Chelsea fan. You had no feeling of confidence going into a game that we was going to win anything, and that's a sign of the players just down in tools more so than the manager. So it did become an untenable situation. I get why he was sacked, but again, it's how soon it happened is what shocked everybody. So obviously, best of luck to Thomas Tuchel. We are very grateful for what he did at the club. It was never a hating. You're entitled to criticize managers, and there might even be criticisms of Graham Potter. In fact, chances are there will be. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody's going to agree with what he's doing. There might be glaringly obvious mistakes that he's making, but it is what it is. We still back our manager. He's going to be our manager, hopefully for the long term, and hopefully it's going to be successful for him, man. Do you know what I mean? But Louis, before we put this stream to an end, bro, is there anything else that you would like to say on this situation on Graham Potter or Thomas Tuchel?
I said everything I need to say about Thomas Tuchel in my video. I kind of said my little emotional bit, so I'm now already moved on, and as bad as that sounds. But Graham Potter, just give him time. He's gonna need it.
Yeah,
it's going to be frustrating. You're a dad, Guni, all right? So you know how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be like your kid trying to do his own work, and you keep trying to send him, and he's not going to get it right, and then they're not going to get it right. Something's not going to go right, and then you know that in the end it'll be there, and there'll be a nice taste. It was a journey, but we got there. There's going to be some bits where we fall over, but it'll be good. But on the other notes, with everything that's happening in the world, apparently the Premier League is going to be suspended. So,
okay,
that's it now.
Well, that's understandable. It's not surprising that that's happened. Obviously, the Queen of England has died. Queen Elizabeth has been the Queen for 70 years, man. That's a long time to be reigning on the throne. Died at 96 years old. So a big moment in history, in recent history as well, man. So rest in peace to Queen Elizabeth, regardless of how people might feel about her. Like I said earlier before, she is a grandmother, a great grandmother, mother, auntie. There are people that genuinely love this woman. So look at her as a human being. If you cannot respect her as the queen or whatever, do you know what I mean? However you look is up to you. But just respect the human factor of it, man. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, it's a sad day for England, isn't it? Like a big part of the tradition has just it's died, man. Been there since before my parents were born. Do you know what I mean? And probably before your parents were born, etc. Like a long flipping time, bruv.
Yeah, it's surreal. But I'm going to stick. The news has been on the entire time we've been doing this stream. I've had the sound turned down. I can't see it because my chair's in the way. But I'm going to go watch that, I think, and just see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And people, listen, just make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments if you are watching after this video. Smash a like as well and hit that notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, people, please make sure you stay safe. Bless up, man.